Hello everyone and welcome back to Fam Sims. Today I'm showing you guys how to do a render for The Sims 4. This tutorial was requested by one of my subscribers, and it was requested months ago actually, but I've been quite busy. But like I said, now I'm going to try to get out more tutorials, more LPs, because a lot of guys have been requesting tutorials, and I'm going to try my hardest to get as many of them out as I possibly can. But this tutorial will be how to render Sims for photos, basically, or just how to render Sims period, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you comment any questions down below, and let's get started. But anyways, the first thing that you need to do when you want to render a sim is you need to have the sim ready, obviously. This is my sim that I'm going to render. And the main thing that I like to remember when I'm rendering Sims is that not every piece of CC will work in Blender. Some pieces of CC just glitches out, or they just don't work in Blender. Like this hair right here, it's super gorgeous on her and I would love to use this hair, but it just doesn't work in Blender. You know what I'm saying? It just shows up as a bunch of planes, and it just doesn't look right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't use that hair, and I try to avoid hair that looks similar to that. But before you even import the sim in Blender, you'll see how it looks in SimRipper, so you don't have to waste time going to Blender and then finding out that it's faulty. You can find that out in SimRipper. But you have to keep in mind that not every piece of CC is going to work in Blender. Now, one thing I've encountered when I was making a sim to render is that when I rendered the sim, her skin did not show up at all. And I was confused, but then that meant that I did not have the most recent version of SimRipper. So make sure you always have the most recent version of SimRipper, and it's recommended that after the game updates you just go and check the website and make sure that SimRipper is updated, you know what I'm saying? Or if something doesn't work, then more than likely you don't have the most recent version. And then if you don't have the best PC, try to use CC that's not that many polys. Don't try to use big hair. Don't use a lot of accessories, you know what I'm saying? Because the more stuff that you have on your sim, the more polys it will take up in Blender. And if you don't have the best PC and you import a sim in Blender that has a whole bunch of big accessories and it's a million polys, and then your computer can crash, Blender can just close unexpectedly, and then you'll lose all of your progress. It's not even worth it, you know what I'm saying? So I try to be minimalistic, and I just use as little as possible, but I just keep it down to the basics, you know what I'm saying? Well, I need clothes, I need shoes, I need nails in my sim, stuff like that. But yeah, after you finish dressing up your sim, hair and all that, you just want to come over here, bottom right corner, and press the check mark. Press the check mark again. And basically what we're doing, we're going to move the sim into any random lot. It doesn't really matter. It can be furnished, unfurnished, an empty lot. It can be a mansion. It can be a small house. It really doesn't matter what it is. We're just going to move them into a random lot. And then this is our sim in game. So that's all we have to do in game. But what you need to make sure that you do is go to the menu and go to exit to main menu. But you need to make sure that you save the game before you exit, because we need to extract the sim from the save game. So make sure you save this game before you exit, so then we can get our sim and put it into SimRipper. That was really fast. Okay, so then after you do that, you want to go to load game again. Well, not again, but just go to load game, and right here it shows all of your saved games. You want to go over to this little icon right here and hover over it, and then it'll show the name of your save. The name of my save is the thing you have to look at is the last 3 numbers of your save. Mine says 111, so that's the last 3 numbers of my save that I'll use to find it in SimRipper. So then you want to open SimRipper. So once you click on SimRipper, These tiny little windows will show broken CC that you have in your mods folder. You can just ignore that, but you can use this as a way to detect broken CC in your game. And once you take the broken CC out of your game, it won't show up anymore. But it's not really that big of a deal. You can just press OK and ignore it, and it still works fine. So it's really not that big of a deal. After you click OK on all of the tiny little windows, Sim Ripper will then show up. Before we import the sim into Sim Ripper, I'm going to show you what you need to change so the sim looks how it's supposed to in Blender. You can change the texture size to HQ, but you have to keep in mind that not every Sims 4 CC creator makes all of their CC in HQ sizes. When you are picking what you want to put on the sim, you can check to see if it's in HQ sizes, but if you if you keep it in standard texture sizes, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? But it's up to you. You can experiment if that's what you want, but I keep it on standard. And then you want to come down to this drop down menu right here, and when you first download Sim Ripper, it will say I think it says single mesh and texture, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, you want to change it to solid and glass meshes and textures. So we get the solid meshes and textures and the glass meshes and textures. And after that, we will then press the select button up here, and then we will be directed to all of the saves from our game. You will scroll all the way down. Once you scroll all the way down, it'll show the save that we just saved from The Sims 4. The last 3 numbers of my save was 111, and it's right here. You don't want to click on version 0 or version 1. You just want to click on the regular save right here. Double click it, and now Sim Ripper looks like this. You can check and uncheck boxes that apply or don't apply to you. So I'm going to uncheck animal, male, toddler, child, teen, and I'm going to uncheck adult and elder. And the ones that I do have checked is human, female, young adult. And then you want to come down here and search for your sim's name. The name of my sim is Destiny Carmichael, so I will double click her name, and then it will say working. That means that your sim is being imported into the Sim Ripper. The amount of time that it takes depends on your sim, how much CC your sim has on, and stuff like that. So you just have to give it some time. Now after it's finished loading up, your sim will then appear right here in the middle. You can use the move and rotate tools to move your sim around, make sure everything looks fine on them. Make sure nothing looks faulty or anything like that. And once you are sure that your sim looks fine, you can then proceed to save it. Now before I show you guys how to save it, you can change the sim's outfit over here. Like if you want them to wear like their cold weather outfit or their formal wear outfit, you can come over here, press the drop down arrow, and change it to whatever you want to, but I'm going to keep mine on everyday. And yeah, then you can come up here. Once you have everything figured out, everything's fine, you can come up here and press save as DAE. Then you can save it anywhere on your computer, but make sure you save it someplace where you'll know where it's at in the future. So don't just save it somewhere randomly. You have to come back to it in the future. And then just press save, and I'll see you all in Blender 2.8. So I am now in Blender 2.83. This is the version of Blender that we will be using to do our Sims 4 render. And to get started, the first thing that we need to do is come up over here and press File, Import, DAE. And then you want to navigate to the place where you saved your sim DAE file. Once you find it, all you have to do is double click on it, and the sim will automatically show up in Blender. You can delete the big cube right there, and the thing that I like to do, I like to come over here in the corner where it says options. Just don't click on options. Go like right next to it, and your cursor should change into like a plus sign. Click and drag over to the left and stop in the middle. Now you have 2 windows. And the reason why I like to have 2 windows is because I can see multiple things at once. You know what I'm saying? But once you have 2 windows, come over here in the top left corner on the first window and change this. Click on the drop down arrow and change this from 3D viewport to shader editor. So now the first window should look like this. Now come over here where it says rig, press the drop down arrow and click on Destiny Carmichael. Now the first window looks like this. It has all of these different nodes in it, but before we change that, make sure you change this window, go in the second window and come up here and change these little circles right here. Change it from the first one, I want you to change it to the second one. Now your sim has some color to it and all that, but it's not completely finished. But this is just like a rough draft of like how it's gonna look once we finish doing all the shading and stuff like that. But this is kind of just like a rough draft. But yeah, so now come back in the first window after you click on Destiny Carmichael or the name of your sim. Mine says Destiny Carmichael, but yours should say like the name of your sim. But click on that and then go in the first window. Now the first thing that you want to do, you want to find this box where it says specular. You want to drag where it says color on the specular box, drag it to this specular on the principled BSDF box. And you see how our sim just changed a little bit? We're almost there. You want to press Shift A and you want to go to shader, mix shader, and you want to import that in the middle of these two right here. Import that in the middle of principled BSDF and material output. You want to move this BSDF to the bottom shader. You want to go to base color and move this alpha where it says FAC on the mix shader. And after you do that, press Shift A again. Go to shader transparent BSDF. And I like to put mine right here. And then move this BSDF to the middle shader. And yeah, that's all for this one. Then you want to click on the one at the bottom of that. Glass means eyelashes, hair sometimes. If your sim is like wearing lace, anything that has a glass texture to it, that's what glass means. Now, not every sim will have a glass mesh or a glass texture. And that is because sometimes you just won't click on CC that has a glass texture to it. Like one time I was doing a render of a male and he didn't have any pieces of CC on that had a glass texture to it. So just keep in mind that if your sim doesn't have a glass mesh or a glass texture, that's fine. All you have to do is the first step and then you're finished with this basically. But if you do have glass, I want you to click on it and we're going to do the same thing that we did last time. Go to the specular box, move the color to specular, press Shift A, go to shader, mix shader, put it in the middle, move this BSDF to the bottom, go to base color, move alpha to the FAC, and then press Shift A again, go to shader, transparent BSDF, and move this BSDF to the middle. No. And then you'll notice that nothing changed on the sim. That is because we have to come over here to this ball right here, or this circle. This circle is like the texture or the material. You want to scroll down to settings and it'll say blend mode and it should be set to opaque. You want to change that to alpha hashed. And now your sim looks the way it's supposed to look. The hair doesn't look blocky and the eyelashes they look regular. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's all that we have to do when it comes to textures. Yeah, I'll show you guys how to add a pose from Sims 4 Studio, how to add a plane, and how to render the photo. But like I said, I am going to do more tutorials for Blender or Sims 4 renders. Like I'm going to do a tutorial how to add real objects to your render. like not Sims 4 objects, but real objects from other Blender 3D creators. I am going to show you guys how to import objects from The Sims as well, like how to import Sims 4 build objects into Blender, and I am going to do a tutorial how to pose your sim yourself in Blender, and I'm going to do a tutorial how to like render animations and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of Sims 4 render tutorials, so if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe with notifications so you get notified when those tutorials drop. So after we get finished with the textures, you just want to go back over here in the top left corner and change this to non-linear animation. Now the first window should look like this. Come over here and click on pose, then click on any one of these dots that's on your sim and press I on your keyboard, and then press lock rot scale, and then you'll see in the first window this, whatever this is called, has shown up. Click this gray button, and then this yellow strip right here, I want you to right click it and press delete strips. So now there's no like pose right there, whatever. And I'm also going to do another tutorial on how to render toddlers and how to render more than one sim. So yeah, make sure you look out for that as well. So yeah, after you do that, you want to open Sims 4 Studio. I have a tutorial on how to download that, which I will link down below as well. But you need Sims 4 Studio for this if you're not going to pose the sim yourself. So before you actually go in Sims 4 Studio, you have to go download a pose from Google or whatever. Just go download a Sims 4 pose. You have to download a in-game pose. So before you download it, make sure it's an in-game pose and not like a create a sim pose or anything like that. So go download one of those, and once you download it, then you can go into Sims 4 Studio, click on My Projects right here, and then navigate to where you saved the pose at. It should just be a regular package file. Mine is right here. Just double click it, and now Sims 4 Studio looks like this. So right here where it says pose pack, you want to go to the clips window, and now it looks like this. You can then click on any one of the poses, and once you find the one that you want to use, come down here, make sure the rig is set to adult female, and then just press the green export button. Now this is not a package file. This is a Blender pose rig file. So this is specifically for Blender. So once you do that, you want to save this somewhere where you'll find it in the future. So it's recommended that you make a folder for these types of things, and I like to name it like specific, like really specific, and I'll name it that. So in the future, if I want to use this pose again, I can picture in my head what this pose already is. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'll even put the name of the creator, and then I'll put pose 1, but I don't know the name. I don't know who made this pose, so I can't put the name of the creator. But yeah, I just like to be super specific, and then I'll save it. I think I have a folder for these actually. Yeah, poses, blend files. These are all of my poses. So yeah, just save it somewhere where you'll find it in the future, and then it'll export it'll say animation, but it's a pose, so it'll export it. Give it some time, and now let's go back into Blender. And also, before we move forward, I want you to just go to File, Save As. So just in case anything happens, your Blender file will be saved and you can come back to it without having to restart. So just save it somewhere. But now to import the pose from Sims 4 Studio, all you have to do is in the top left corner, press File, Append, and navigate to where you saved your pose at. And once you find it, all you have to do is double click it and click on the action folder and click on the file right here. And now, as you can see, nothing has changed, but you need to click on where it says NIA track. I'm not sure what that means, but just click on it and make sure that the letters are highlighted in orange. Once they're highlighted, press add action strip, and then click on the pose, and now your sim is posed in the second window. So that's all we have to do with posing for now. So we can go back in the top left corner, change this from non-linear animation to 3D viewport, and it should show up like this. I want you to click the last circle, not the second one. And basically what the last circle is, that's like rendered. if the sim is rendered. So if you click on the second circle, it only shows the sim but with no like specific lighting. So now I'll just show you how to add like a basic background. So to add a simple plane, change from pose mode to object mode. On the second window, press Shift A on your keyboard and add a cube. Yes, a cube. Go over here to these options over here and press the arrows, and that gives you the option to move the cube however you want to. And then you can also press S to scale it bigger or smaller. You can also press G to move freely, or you can press R to rotate it, but there's no reason to. But yeah, I used S to scale it up some, and then I'll use the arrows to move it up. So now the sim is inside the cube. So this is how our sim looks inside the cube. There's no lighting or whatever. This window is on the second circle, and this window, the first window, is on the third circle. So this one looks darker than that one. Basically, the cube, I like using cubes rather than like a simple two planes because I don't know. I just do. I don't know. I really can't explain it. I just feel like it's better and it captures the light better. So now that we have our cube in, you can click on the cube and give it a texture. So go to the circle right here and press new. And then you can change the surface BSDF. You can change the color. I like to use glossy BSDF. So click where it says principled BSDF and then change it to glossy. And yeah, that's what I like to use. And you can also click color, change the color. I think I'll give mine whatever that is. I think it's like orange or whatever. And then roughness, you'll see what roughness means in a minute once we add lights. You can also change that as well. But once we change the color or whatever, I went into the third circle so I can see how the sim looks once I add lights. So press Shift A and go to light point. The point light will spawn all the way at the bottom, so just use the arrows to drag it up, and then you can move it where you want to. I don't know, like I think I'll add one light right here, and I'll make it like orangish so it can be like a warm light. And then after you get finished with the first light, click on it and press Shift D on your keyboard, and what that means is that it duplicates that light. So Shift D means duplicate. So once you do that, drag the duplicated light over to the other side, and I like to make this a warmer color or a lighter color, like a light blue or white or something like that. You don't have to, like you can just use one light. Anyways, just add the lights where you want to. I only added 2 lights in the front. You can also Shift A and add a area light, so like it makes the cube lighter as a whole. Like if you have a light selected, you can come over here and press the light bulb icon, and you can change the power of the light, you can change the color of the light, the specular, the shape sometimes. You can also turn off whether you want a shadow casted from the light as well. I think I'll keep the power. Actually no, I don't want that light. But if you do want another light, you can always add one. And yeah, that's how you add lights. I think for this render, I'll just keep it simple. After you add the lights, it's now time to adjust the camera. So I don't like using the default camera that comes with a Blender file once you automatically open up something in Blender. I don't like using that camera. So click on it and then right click it and press delete. We're not going to use that. Then come over to the first window and press Shift A, camera, and then now you have another camera that's closer to your sim, because the first camera spawns like somewhere out here, and it's just a hassle to like move it all the way to the sim. So it's better to just respawn a new one, so it's just easier to move. So now make sure that your mouse cursor is in the first window and press 0. In the first window, you should automatically be taken to the camera's point of view. So my camera is like pointed somewhere at the bottom of the square. It's not really pointed towards anything. So in the first window, or in the second window, you'll see that it's not really pointed towards anything. It just looks weird. You want to move it until it's like facing your sim, so that you can rotate it. Come over here and press the second option, that means rotate. So you can rotate it some on the different axes. Okay, yeah, no. Move it down some. Go back. Just move it until you have it the way that you want to. Another thing I like to do for the camera, come over here where the camera icon is and click on that. I like to change the perspective, or I like to change the type from perspective to orthographic, and in my opinion that just looks better, but you can change it however you want, but I like using orthographic. Orthographic scale basically means zoom in and zoom out, so you can change that however you want to. I need to position the camera a little bit more, so let's move it up and then move it down to like right there. You can come up here to output properties, this icon right here. You can change the Y and X resolution. I like changing mine, if it's for Instagram, to 1080 by 1080, but you can add any custom properties or any custom resolutions that you want to, but I changed mine to that. And as you can see in the first window, the square is now larger, so I need to move it down some so they can actually see the sim, and yeah, that actually looks kind of good. So after we do that, we position the camera, we have the lights, we have the cue, we have the sim. Make sure you save it so you won't lose any progress, and then come over to render properties, this icon right here, and as you can see it says render engine. Now you can keep it in Eevee, but I like to use Cycles. Cycles in my opinion just looks better, but it really doesn't matter. If you are rendering an animation, I recommend using Eevee because Cycles takes a lot of time to render. It does. Cycles is longer than Eevee when it comes to render time. Like Eevee is almost immediate for me, but Cycles, it takes a couple of minutes, but it depends on how much I have the render samples turned up to. But yeah, change it from Eevee to Cycles if you want to, if you have the time, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is how my sim looks now with Cycles. If you notice that when I move in Cycles, everything is just blurry and like noisy. Yeah, I don't like that. So this is why I like to have two windows. In one window, I'll have Cycles on, and I'll have it on the third circle. Second window, I'll have it on the second circle. So like I said, it doesn't show how the sim looks when it's rendered, but in the first window it does. So like if I move something in the second window, it moves in the first window as well, but then I can see how it looks, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but I hope it does. I might erase this light. Like I just might. Yeah, I'm gonna erase this light. It's kind of unnecessary. And I'll move this like over. Alright, so we are in Cycles. We have our lights positioned the way that we want to, and I think it's time to render. Now, this is something I've learned recently, but you can change the render samples so the render comes out in better quality. It really depends on what type of computer you have. You know what I'm saying? I have I have a pretty decent computer, so I can use 500 samples without my computer like crashing or whatever, but it does take a long time. So just keep in mind, the higher the render samples, the more time that it takes, and the more power it takes up on your computer. The smaller the render samples, the less time it takes and the less amount of power it takes up on your computer. I think for this render, I'm just gonna use standard 128. I don't feel like sitting here all day, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm using, like, if I'm doing like a CC preview or like a render for the website, I'll do 500 and I'll just wait a good 30 minutes for it to render. But it's worth it in the end, because like it comes out really good, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, change it to however much you want to. Go over to view layer properties, this icon right here, and I want you to, where it says light, just click on all of these. I don't know if it does anything, but I just click on them, so just click on them if you want to. And then down here at the bottom it says denoise. Check that as well, because if you don't press denoise, then like your photo will have a bunch of noise in it and you don't want that. But then if your photo is extremely blurry, uncheck denoise and just see if that fixes the blurriness. Like, I really don't know a lot about that. I just click it and hope for the best. That's what I do. But just keep in mind that the higher the render samples, the better quality it is. So if your render samples is at like 60, then like it probably won't come out that well. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I might even just do 200 for this. But yeah, after you do that, your render is essentially finished. Not finished, but you're finished with all the settings and all that. Make sure you save it before you start rendering the image. And then come over to the top left corner, press render image. But like I said, if you are using Eevee, then your render should just like take 1 to 2 seconds. It doesn't take that long. But if you're using Cycles, then it comes out like this, and it renders like every little tile of the image. You know what I'm saying? And it renders like so beautifully. It just takes more time, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, the samples, you have to take that into account as well. That also plays a part in how much time your render takes and the quality and all that. But yeah, all you can do is wait. Once it's finished rendering, it should show up in the render window, basically the same way that it showed up in Blender in the camera point of view. This is pretty good quality. It looks pretty good in my opinion. So after it's finished rendering, just press image, save as. Save it somewhere where you can find it in the future, just in case you want to post it or come back to it in the future. And right here, turn the compression all the way up and change the color depth to 16. Yeah, just so it looks good, and press save as image. And that's it. That is how you do a render of a sim. If you like this tutorial, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Like I said, I will be doing more in-depth tutorials in the future. How to add stuff, how to add more sims, how to make it better quality, how to fix problems with sims in Blender, and stuff like that. So make sure you subscribe with notifications so you get notified when those drop. And I will also be doing more tutorials like how to edit in DaVinci Resolve, how to make an intro in DaVinci Resolve, just a whole bunch of tutorials. So make sure you subscribe, and I love you all so much. Goodbye.